I'm Andrew Donovan. This week on Newsmakers, Governor Kathy Hochul.
Hey, Andrew, how are you?
How are you, Governor?
For the second straight year, we're one-on-one with the state's chief executive.
It's becoming a tradition for us in January,
Yes,
so
it is.
I appreciate that.
Just days after her State of the State, and just moments after Micron's historic groundbreaking.
This is just a start. Best is yet to come. Congratulations, everybody.
The governor and I discuss her role in landing the $100 billion project.
We have to make this happen.
With an expected population surge, how she's working to build more housing and power the progress with nuclear expansion.
How's Oswego doing in the running? Because you know people in Oswego already have this capability and want more.
I know they do.
Plus Micron's chief people officer.
We'll celebrate for a minute. It's time to do the real work.
That work already underway in dramatic fashion in the town of Clay. Next on Newsmakers.
Welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Andrew Donovan. For the second straight January, we're getting to sit down with Governor Kathy Hochul to talk about her State of the State plans. But we begin with the highlight of the week. We sat down with her at her alma mater, Syracuse University, just moments after Micron's groundbreaking celebration. Governor, thanks so much for fitting us into such a busy day. It's becoming a tradition for us in January,
Yes,
so
it is.
I appreciate that. What does this groundbreaking day for Micron mean to you?
It's emotional. We first pursued this when I was literally governor of New York for just a couple of days. We heard about this opportunity, and I had members of the executive team from Micron meet me in Albany, and I heard all about this. We have to make this happen. And then during a snowstorm in January in 2022, I flew in a plane, and they said, you shouldn't be flying. I said, but he's going to go back to Idaho. I've got to talk to the CEO now and convince him to stay in New York. So I was so committed to getting this done. And so those conversations led to us, when Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer were able to pass the CHIPS and Science Act in that spring, literally 2 days later, I said, that doesn't help New York, that helps other states as well. It makes it a kind of a level playing field. How do I give New York State an advantage? And we put in the extra money and allowed them to benefit from that. And I literally just walked off my speech, and Sanjay, the CEO, said, you know we wouldn't be here without you. And that, for me, that just meant everything as someone who went to school in Syracuse and lived during the decline of manufacturing and industry in upstate New York, from Syracuse to Buffalo, where I come from. And for him to say that and have the largest private sector investment in American history, and he said it wouldn't have happened without me. I tell you, this is what it's all about, creating all those good paying jobs and creating opportunities for those, especially young people growing up in the city of Syracuse. And I know one of the reasons they cherish coming here is because of the diverse workforce we could offer them, the diversity of backgrounds and talent and ethnicity and races. People just wanted to be able to be part of something, and Micron's culture is one to celebrate that, and so it's a very big day for us.
You mentioned the snow when you were coming to meet with Sanjay for the first time. I can't help but think of the snow that everyone had to battle today to do shovels in the ground.
Nobody cared. I'm so happy they're not in a place like Florida where you don't have to shovel. They're in New York, and we can handle the snow. It's not a big deal for us.
I did hear a couple of instances today where it sounds like things got political from some of the remarks, specifically the Commerce Secretary. And I'm just wondering, how did this become political, and how do you feel about that?
I don't know. He just came out and declared this was Trump country. I don't think there was any applause. I'm not sure. But it just kind of set a strange tone there, because we're celebrating a company, right? I think he said a couple of other things, like they moved it from being a $50 billion investment, the Trump administration, to $100 billion. It's like, it was always, when Joe Biden stood on that stage, announced it was $100 billion. So I don't know what that was all about, but it doesn't matter, regardless of party, this is moving forward. And that was the most important thing to me.
It was $100 billion. I was also in the room that day.
It was $100 billion.
$100 billion over the next 20 years.
I don't know why they said they increased it to 100 from 50. So I think the fact checkers will have a good time with that speech. I'm not going to worry about it.
Let's talk about how Micron perhaps got its way into your State of the State a little bit. You've expanded your nuclear power plans majorly. You had planned for 1 gigawatt to go somewhere in upstate New York. You're now increasing it to 5.
Yes.
How's Oswego doing in the running? Because you know people in Oswego already have this capability and want more.
I know they do, and we're very excited about the opportunities for a community in upstate, and we will be letting those candidates know soon. But certainly, Oswego has the experience, the workforce, and you know, we have 4 nuclear reactors, 3 sites, you know, in that area. And what people don't realize, this is the oldest nuclear reactor in the nation, has been functioning without any problem. But the new reactors we're talking about, they're not your grandfather's nuclear energy. The facilities are so safe, so technologically advanced that we feel very comfortable about that. So we talk about powering Micron, but also all the supply chain that wants to come around it. Because I don't want companies to come here and be a drain on our grid. I don't want New Yorkers to have to pay more. And that's why we talk about these data centers, which don't create jobs. That's a different dynamic than Micron. They don't create jobs, and they suck our energy and make costs higher for New Yorkers. And I said, no, if you're going to come here, you want to come here, you're going to have to pay and ultimately bring your own energy source. So that's why this works out. I'm going to continue expanding our capacity, and I announced that in my State of the State, but also I want to protect New Yorkers' wallets by not having them pay extra costs to subsidize other companies like the data centers.
You've been pretty consistent on not putting your thumb on the scale. Just to the people in Oswego who just think they are the best candidate.
I know. They are very good candidates.
Okay.
All I can say right now.
Coming up, I ask the governor about solving the housing crisis as Micron grows the population and changes she's considering to the prison system 1 year after that correction officers strike. More of my interview with the governor when Newsmakers continues. Newsmakers is back with our one-on-one conversation with Governor Kathy Hochul. Next, we talk about the status of prison reform now a year after inmate beatings and a correction officer strike, but we begin with the housing crisis. I know you were also watching the environmental review through the Micron process very closely, and it sounds like perhaps some of that had inspiration in your State of the State. You're looking at the environmental review process specifically as it pertains to housing.
Right, that's really important. I mean, you know, in Clay and this whole region, we have the opportunity to really grow the population to get it back to what it used to be in the 70s and 60s when this area was more prosperous. So, but you have to put in more housing, you know, all kinds, you know, mixed use, you know, market rate. You know, I even like the modular homes that I visited here in Syracuse, which you can't tell the difference. And they can be put up in 6 months, and they're so much cheaper than a house that's made the traditional way. So, but part of it is, whenever there's an important project like many homes in a subdivision, there's always community opposition by at least a couple of people. And they stand on using these environmental laws as a barrier to progress. And that has happened all over our state. Even, I'm talking about when a community wants it to happen. The elected officials on their town board, for example, want it to happen. But you can lose 2 or 3 years and a developer is going to say, it's just not worth it. I can't have that be the answer anymore. I'm going to supercharge our efforts to build more housing because I have to figure out how to house 50,000 more people that are either coming here or people that are earning more money can get a bigger house, perhaps. I mean, I want to stimulate the economy for those who've always been people, residents of Central New York as well.
Is that growth for Micron happening quickly enough?
Yes. I mean, they're already training people, and we've done everything. We've invested $500 million in workforce training for these industries at the state level as well. So I promised I'd find the talent. He said I'll need 9,000 engineers, but not just engineers. 60% of the workers that Micron needs don't even need a 4-year degree. So we're aggressively going after the local individuals in schools and in the community and saying, your future can change by getting the training you need to step into the jobs at Micron and the other supply chain companies and customers that I think will find their way here as well.
Shifting topics within your State of the State, the State of the State version that I was able to read seemed to omit any type of mention of prison reform. I think a lot of people are hoping you don't omit that from your plans. The HALT committee has submitted its recommendations about the HALT Act. Where does that stand as this legislative session begins?
Right, this is not the only vehicle for prison reform. As you know, after the horrible murder of Robert Brooks, and I just met his son and his father just a few days ago in my office. And so, right immediately, I insisted that there be cameras everywhere, that we work to change the culture, that the people who are involved in this be prosecuted for their crimes and remove them immediately. So I took steps instantaneously after that horrible tragedy. Then I just signed in December a very major package of reforms that the legislature had passed that we worked on. So those will make a difference. And so there's not one place to make changes. We have the whole session, we have the budget, and so our State of the State is confined to really just top issues that we can address there, but there's a whole book of reforms plus the legislative session. So we're always looking to make it a better experience for not just the incarcerated community, but the people who go to work every day. And it's hard work those correction officers do. And I'm trying to recruit more to take some of the burden off of them so they don't have to put in the overtime. I need to build up that workforce, and I think once we can do that, that'd be a major reform right there. The stress would be dropped dramatically when people can just work a normal shift and not be exhausted after working multiple shifts as well. That was part of the problem we had last year.
Have you reviewed any of the HALT committee's suggestions, and are you committed to some adjustments to the HALT Act?
We're looking at everything, and those recommendations were important to me, and I'm looking forward to talking to the legislative leaders about that.
The governor's race, how are you feeling about re-election?
Really good, really good.
Yeah.
We're working hard. We have an incredible record focusing on public safety and affordability, and even initiatives like taking cell phones out of classrooms. I mean, something like that could have happened for years, and no one had the courage to stand up and take on the special interests that didn't want us to, and we did it. Now we're going after other drivers of costs for people. Why are car insurance rates the highest in the nation here in New York? We're coming after that, and it's taken on, some powerful interests as well, but New Yorkers deserve a fighter. I've got the record of accomplishment, but I've got the fight in me to go the distance, and there's a lot of things coming out of Washington as well. I have to stand up and fight the Trump administration literally daily to restore money for child care. $3.8 billion they took out of our child care funding and family support systems. And I can't tell you the number of times we're having to go to court to say that money was allocated by Congress. It's supposed to come here. So I'm up for the fight. I'm a scrappy street fighter from Buffalo, and I say bring it on. It's like getting ready for my Super Bowl. I always get up for the big game.
Speaking of Super Bowl,
yes.
Pizza, you were just able to visit a former employer of yours, the Varsity, for a special recognition. What was that visit like?
100th anniversary of the Varsity Pizzeria in the college campus. I worked there as a student, and I know how to make pizzas. But it was fun to be there, and we worked together to make something really special, which was a pizza that says "Go Bills" spelled out by the pepperoni. So very creative people here in Syracuse, but it was a great homecoming. Anytime I'm back in Syracuse, I feel a great connection to my past, but after today's groundbreaking, I also feel a great connection to an incredible future that's awaiting this area.
A great point to end on. Governor, thanks for the time today.
All right, thank you. Take care.
Appreciate it. When Newsmakers continues, we sit down with Micron's chief people officer to talk about the company's promises and commitments to Central New York. We're back after this. Newsmakers is back now a week after Micron's historic groundbreaking and dramatic work already happening at the White Pine Commerce Park in the town of Clay. We had the chance to sit down with Micron's chief people officer. You've had to kind of fight against the doubters since this project was announced between 3 and 4 years ago. Today proves a point, but also the point is you've been here as a company all along.
Yeah, absolutely. And the doubters, it's understandable to have questions, to have concerns. I would have some of the same concerns if I were them. But yes, today is yet another milestone, another action, another demonstration of Micron's commitment to Central New York. And even since our initial announcement for the last 3 years, we've already invested $15 million in the community, in workforce development, and we're just now putting a shovel in the ground. And we've already started developing the talent and the workforce and the community to get ready for this moment.
I want to emphasize that. Construction starts now, but the company has already spent $15 million. The doubters should look at that number first and then know that the company is about to spend $1 billion just this year.
These programs that we've been spending money on are absolutely preparing this community for what's about to happen, getting kids excited and interested in STEM. Over 5,000 students have already gone through our STEM programs here in Central New York. Of course, continuing to sponsor programs at the most, continuing to support, and an exciting milestone last fall with the Syracuse City STEAM School opening up, supporting those programs, veterans transition programs, the OCC Clean Room. As you know, we need students to have the ability to get hands-on experience and training so that they can step into these jobs. So opening up these pathways is very important. And of course, we know it's more than training. We know we've got to help support the community in other ways: housing, transportation, childcare. All of that is getting us ready for when we open the doors and we start building memory here.
So the construction on the fab starts any day now, but I know that the Child Care Center is a part of the construction project. When does that happen? When does kind of your world start to match the construction world?
Yeah, so a couple of things. We're investing in childcare outside of our own site childcare facility because we know not everyone will want to access that, and we know the whole community needs access to affordable, reliable, quality childcare. So partnering, of course, with the YMCA, we started early on, and partnering with Peace to make sure that we're expanding childcare even before we build our on-site facility. But our on-site facility will target the construction so that it opens the same time as our fab. It turns out constructing a child care center is a little easier and faster than constructing a fab, so we actually don't need to start the child care center just yet, but it will open at the same time.
You're investing in students, from little kids to high schoolers. Then you're also investing in kids in college and pipelines to job training, college programs, internships. I've met more than, I feel like I'm always bumping into a Micron intern now. But then also you spoke to the child care, but the general community.
Yes. For a project of this scale, you have to think about the whole entire ecosystem. You can't just go directly to the universities and even the community college. You really have to think about all community members. How can they get access, and what barriers have to be removed so that they can access these careers? And that's exactly what we've done. That's exactly what our partners are helping us do. And we were also fortunate early on. Governor Hochul and ESD established the Community Engagement Committee. They've been giving us great guidance. We actually have a whole set of projects that have been submitted by community members that are aimed at achieving the objectives we need to go achieve. And we're excited to go and announce and take action on some of those projects as well.
I know that OCC has its clean room now,
Yes.
and I know it's churning out people that are ready to work for Micron. It does feel like a drop in the bucket, considering that Micron will need 9,000 direct employees. How do you scale that up to get it where you need it, get the workforce in the numbers that you need?
Absolutely. So that is exactly what the next chapter is going to look like. It is going to be about scaling up our intern programs, starting apprenticeships. That's actually a program we haven't started because you actually need a facility for them to work at. Getting apprenticeship programs set up so we can start bringing more and more students who are actively going to OCC while they are actually working as well. Working with the universities, we just launched a pilot, and we're working with 8 New York universities, and we've already reached 6,000 engineering students. Those are the types of things, that's the magnitude and the scale we're going to have to start reaching in order to get ready for 9,000 jobs.
The doubters are running out of things to doubt. Your logo's on the skyline of the city of Syracuse. You've invested through your work in your department into childcare, into K through 12, STEM education, college programs. What would you say to the last people out there that are like, this will never happen?
Yeah, you know, we are a company 47 years old. We were started in a small town at the time, Boise, Idaho. We share so many of the same values as the community here in Syracuse. This is real. We believe in following all, you know, we do what we say we're gonna do, and we've demonstrated that all along the way. But really, you know, again, The doubters will have their questions, their concerns. It's okay. Just watch our actions. That will prove we do what we say.
Will you be with Micron long enough to keep these promises?
You know what? I have no plans to do anything different. I've been at the company my entire career, which is quite unheard of. But this company is such a great company that has challenging work, incredible people, incredible values, and you know what? Memory just became a lot more important with AI. So the world needs more Micron.
Why does the world need more Micron? Why is this megafab campus equally important to your company as it is to Central New York?
It's absolutely important to our company, to Central New York, to America, and to the globe. There is such an incredible, insatiable demand for memory right now, fueling the AI economy, protecting through national security, protecting borders. AI and memory is so important to the U.S., and there are going to be a lot more investments, but we have to get going on this investment because we can't build enough memory. We'll celebrate for a minute. It's time to do the real work, and we've got to start scaling. So thank you for the partnership, and we look forward to being part of this community.
April, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
A final word from Newsmakers after this, including a look back at the historic week. That does it for Newsmakers for this week. For all the hardworking people of News Channel 9, have a great weekend. We'll leave you with a look back at the historic moments of Micron's groundbreaking.
1, 2, big, smile, up, and talk. This is your front row seat to a historic day.
Welcome to the White Pine Business Park, home of the greatest memory technology company in the world.
We're kind of here. This is where a fab could sit one day.
An American company, a New York company, and to all of us, an Onondaga County company.
Andrew, how are you? I literally just walked off my speech, and Sanjay, the CEO, said, you know we wouldn't be here without you.
This is one of the greatest things to happen to Syracuse since the Erie Canal, and it was done in a very bipartisan manner.
My vision was bringing Central New York and upstate New York back.
A very historic moment for Central New York.
Excellent coverage there. Andrew Donovan, Jeff Kulikowski.
We'll celebrate for a minute. It's time to do the real work.
This is just a start. Best is yet to come. Congratulations, everybody.
Download the WSYR Plus app on your TV to stream News Channel 9 for free. Just go to your smart TV, search WSYR Plus in the App Store, and download to start streaming today.